Oh, no way.
What?
One of my buddies just texted me saying that WWE released Karrion Kross and Scarlett.
Are you kidding me? Already?
That's what my buddy just texted me. Hold on. I gotta see how true this is. Yeah, Bleacher Report just tweeted it. Karrion Kross has been released by WWE, as per PW Insider. Guys, I mean, oh boy.
I don't know what is going on there, man. I just don't get it. I don't understand what the deal is with the talent, unless maybe he wanted his release.
It must have been. That's what it must have been.
Or he could wind up back in Impact.
He could.
As Killer Kross. With Scarlett, I mean, that would be fucking.
That would be yeah. It's a home run.
Like, I wouldn't go to AEW if I was him.
No,
I wouldn't. So, all right, let's see. I haven't seen the thing come up yet, man. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna share it. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
All right. How you doing, everybody? And welcome to the Moffett on the Mic show for a very brief Thursday evening show as we're going to lead you up to Jets kickoff at about 8:20 as they take on the Indianapolis Colts tonight. I am Craig Moffett, and alongside of me, as always, is Chris Klim.
What's up, Craig?
So, Klim, before we get into that, the WWE just had a whole bunch of releases now. It's not just
Oh, it's a whole bunch.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Sitting down?
I'm sitting down.
Okay. Ember Moon.
Wow.
Frankie Monet.
What?
Oni Lorcan. Lince Dorado.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Keith spelled this wrong. He put Jessica Mia. I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is either.
So let me see if I can find out.
But that's crazy to release people like Karrion Kross, Ember Moon, and Oni Larkin. Like those are like Frankie Monet. Even Frankie Monet too. They just signed Frankie Monet.
Yeah,
they literally just signed her.
Now she's
like
gone.
Not even like a year ago, like a few months ago, she made her debut.
Mm-hmm.
I'm stunned. I
don't get
it. I don't get it.
That's why going to the main roster is the kiss of death. Oh, okay. Not Jessica Mia, Jessie Correa. That's who it is.
I still don't know who that is.
She's in NXT. She was in the Robert Stone brand with Frankie Monet.
Oh, see, I like the Robert Stone brand a lot. I'm really pushing for the Robert Stone brand here.
So we'll get into that more like next week. We don't really have a lot of time. We're only about an hour, so we want to get into pretty much whatever we can. We're just gonna talk very quickly about what's going on in sports. You can follow the show as always on Instagram at Moff on the Mic and on my Facebook page as well. You can follow Klim and the A1 Sports Network on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can also subscribe to our show courtesy of Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can like and comment and leave us a 5-star review because it makes us feel oh so special. Our interview we did last week with John Sheeran is now up from before the Bengals-Jets game. Sorry, John. But so let's just get into it really quickly. What can I say really about what happened in the game on Sunday with the Bengals?
We look good. We
But
looked real good.
okay, yes, we did. I don't disagree with that. Mike White looked really good, and that is why we don't have a knipshit about a freaking backup quarterback. What did we say all summer?
We don't need a veteran quarterback.
We have no idea what we have.
Yep.
Let's give Mike White a shot. What do we care? We're not a playoff team. Why is this such a big deal? And all I heard was we got to get Nick Foles. We got to get Blake Bortles. We got to get some backup quarterback. Okay? And I was the one. You can go back to the shows if you want from the summertime. And Klim can pull it up if you want. And I was the one who said, this is one of the most overrated concepts in all of sports. Because Zach Wilson at the time, I felt, didn't need a veteran breathing over his shoulder. Okay? The Flacco deal was done because Zach got hurt. If Zach didn't get hurt, Flacco is not here. I think we can both agree on that.
Yes.
All right? So we give the job to Mike White. And Mike White, nobody gave him a chance. I wasn't expecting much. I kind of was expecting more of a conservative game plan. Something you see a lot when backup quarterbacks are forced into the starting role. They don't want to risk too much, so they really scale down the playbook for him, for whoever the quarterback is. And that's what I was really expecting. And the one thing I said I think I messaged it to Jake on Jake's YouTube video. And I had written, I said, because he said, oh, do you think the Jets have a chance to win with Mike White? And I wrote, yes, they do, but it's only contingent on if they open up the playbook and let him loose.
Mm-hmm.
The Bengals are going to be expecting a conservative game plan. They're going to be expecting a conservative game plan. If you get away from that, you've got a shot. If you fall right into their trap, then you're not going to win. And they're going to run you over. And Klim, once again, I hate when I'm right.
That was so funny. You literally texted me that after the game, and you're like, I hate when I'm right.
I hate when I'm right. I hate it. And the thing is like, Mike White played his ass off. But you know what I loved about that game on Sunday? The way the team rallied around him.
Right.
The way the team was so excited for him. They look like they want, I hate to say this, but they kind of look more fired up to play for Mike White than they did for Zach Wilson. Now, that's not an indictment on Zach. Not at all. But it does raise a question or two. Is Zach maybe pressing too hard? Is he not as confident as Mike White is? I don't know.
Yeah, because you watch the game. If you watch the game Sunday, it literally looked like a whole different team. Like, we saw this only one time this year from the Jets where they actually look like a capable offense, and that was against the Titans, and now, Zach goes down, unfortunately. Mike White comes in, and Mike LaFleur opened up the playbook. He did. Everyone looked great. Everyone on that offense looked fantastic.
In Zach Wilson's defense, Klim, they should have did that week one.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right.
But what else kind of came into play? Mike White was more into checkdowns, which benefited the Jets because every time Michael Carter got the ball, he got 8 yards on a catch.
He looked good.
Ty Johnson got some big gains on receptions. Elijah Moore got some big gains yards after catch. So did Denzel Mims. You finally saw what the Jet offense can do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, Mike White, because the Mike White boners came out as soon as the game was over. Now it's Mike White's got to be signed to a long-term deal. Mike White's got, he should be the quarterback. The Jets should trade Zach Wilson. It's obvious he doesn't have it. See what I mean? There they go. Right, Klim? They pivot right off the highway. And I mean, they take that sharp turn off the highway, and now they're on the Mike White bandwagon. Now, look, I don't know what to expect from Mike White tonight. I don't know what to expect from him. He could have a good game. He could have a crappy game. Don't be surprised if he has a crappy game.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I know we talked about, WWE releases right in the beginning of the show, the first 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But they just released more, and 2 names, big names, Keith Lee and Nia Jax have been released.
doesn't make it. Bearcat Lee got released.
Well, I mean, everyone saw that coming from Naya, but I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised at Naya being released.
Jesus, let's release the whole freaking roster of NXT.
Jesus Christ. But back to Mike White. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie. I'm all in on the Mike White train. I loved the way he played. He looked fantastic. Not that I'm off the Zach Wilson train. I'm not off that train at all. But the way Mike White played, the way he commanded himself, the way the offense just looked in general, it looked the best it's looked all season. And this is from a guy who, like you said, like some people didn't even wanted to bring in a guy like Nick Foles, a Joe Flacco-esque quarterback to teach Zach Wilson. But meanwhile, we had money Mike White the whole time. He looked fantastic, and I'm all in on. I like Mike White, I really do.
But that's also why I'm going to say that when he comes back, it's Zach Wilson's team. Unless Mike White wins the next 3 or 4 games in a row and puts up really, really big time numbers, I still think this is Zach Wilson's team.
So do I. But again, like, what are we going to get from Mike White tonight? I think will determine what they do with him for the rest of the year. Because if he puts out another, like, I'm not saying like a 400-yard game again, because that was a crazy game. But if he throws out like a 300-yard game and like 2 touchdown passes, no interceptions, start him the next week again. Start him the week after. I have no problems with this. I really don't.
Not to piggy again. Breaking news. Eva Marie and Mia Yim also released.
Jesus Christ. I mean, Eva Marie, I'm not surprised at all.
She was awful.
She was so bad. But Mia Yim, oh my God.
So, look, tonight's a game that you got to be careful. You got to keep your expectations reasonable. Because the Colts have film now on Mike White. So they know his tendencies a little bit. They're going to try to take away that short passing game. So you're going to have to take more deep shots down the field tonight. You're going to have to get Denzel Mims more involved on deep throws and Elijah Moore. And I think it was a good thing they did. Maybe it was a good thing they didn't trade Jamison Crowder because of Corey Davis's injury.
Mm-hmm.
And Douglas is not the kind of guy that's going to give away a player for like a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, and apparently from what we heard leading up to Tuesday, that the only really person they were calling about was Mims, and Douglas didn't want to trade Mims.
Well, apparently from what I read, he wanted a 3rd-round pick for Marcus May, and most teams weren't going to pay that.
Really?
Yeah, because they wanted the Jets to take on to pay some of his salary, and Douglas wasn't going to do that. So he'd rather play play Marcus May, and then see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
But getting back to the team right now. The thing that bothers me was, of course, as soon as Mike White plays one good game, here come all the articles about quarterback controversy in New York. There is no quarterback controversy. This is going to be Zach Wilson's team when he is healthy enough to play, especially now that they brought in John Beck, who is Zach Wilson's quarterback coach at BYU. Mike White has to play 4 consecutive good games. He's got the Colts tonight. See how he plays in this game. Then they play Buffalo. And I can't remember who they play after that. I think they play Miami. So you've got 3 games coming up right now. And then after that, I don't remember who they play. I think they play the Saints. So right now, this is the time for Mike White to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Because it only benefits the Jets. That's what people don't get.
Right.
Because if he keeps playing well, then Zach Wilson can take his time. You don't have to rush him out there. He can learn behind a guy like Mike White.
Right.
And Mike White's not a guy you're going to have to give $100 million to. He's not a guy you have to give Sam Darnold type money to because he's still unproven. But this is why I've always said that the veteran backup is such an overrated concept in the NFL. And it continues to be. And listen, I was not expecting Mike White to throw for 405 yards and 3 touchdowns.
No, neither was I. I don't think anyone was.
Nobody was. There was no way in hell that anybody thought that. But my point was, give the guy a chance. And I know why they went after Flacco, because Wilson got hurt and they didn't have as much. They wanted a proven veteran. Now, they could have easily just put Josh Johnson on the team. And for all the fans that were complaining about a sixth-round pick, it's a sixth-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
How often does a sixth-round pick really work out in the NFL? Oh, B-Fab from Hit Row is gone too.
Good. She sucked. I was not a fan of her.
So the thing is that I don't want to get my expectations too high tonight, because I don't think Mike White will have that type of game. I don't think he'll have a 405-yard game. And I definitely think the Colts will put more pressure on him.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the defense is going to have to really shine again. They're going to really have to step up their game. They got to get after Carson Wentz with the pass rush. But one thing I really love right now that's going on, because that defense held Jamar Chase in check.
Mm-hmm.
3 for 32 for Jamar Chase. And maybe it was because he had such a huge game the week before against the Ravens. So you don't look too deep into it. But one guy right now on that defense that has been a major sleeper for them is Brandon Eckles.
Yes.
Brandon Eckles has been a very good cover corner in his rookie season. Not to mention the fact that it feels good to finally have a guy like Jarrad Davis back, C.J. Mosley back. Rankins got a sack on Sunday. Quinnen Williams with a big sack. Jabari Zuniga got a sack for crying out loud, and a forced fumble. Jabari Zuniga right now has more sacks than Jamal Adams this year. Those are the things you need to keep seeing. If you can keep showing that, being that aggressive team, I'm not going to sit here and say the Jets are a playoff team. But I think it's something to just build on and be excited about moving forward. So let's do some really quick NFL notes from early this week. Raiders released Henry Ruggs after he decided to drive 156 miles per hour, driving whatever car he was driving, slamming into the back of a minivan and setting it on fire and killing the woman and her dog. So mandatory 2 to 20 years in minimum 2 years in prison, mandatory for that crime. I don't remember the exact charge, but supposedly he was under the influence. We don't know yet all the details. But again, this is a problem, Klim. I mean, this is the last thing the Raiders need right now.
Yeah, especially
bye week. They were just on a bye last week. They just got over the John Gruden emails where he had to resign basically in disgrace. And now you have Henry Ruggs arrested for basically vehicular manslaughter. But that's not really the crime because there was not an intent. He didn't intend to kill those people.
But still, though.
It doesn't matter. It still happened.
Yeah, you were under the influence and you were driving 150 miles per hour and fucking killed these people.
And now he's going to, he was already released by the Raiders. His football career is probably over at this point.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just, it doesn't have to be that way, though. Those are the things that bother me about these guys. These guys just have no freaking brain. No brain. And it's beyond annoying, to read these stories and an innocent life is lost because this schmuck got drunk and rammed his car. He's going 156 miles per hour. In what? A 50-mile-per-hour zone?
There's no need for any of that. It's like some of these guys, they just can't, leave, what they grew up in behind. It's insane. Even that shit with, I remember Sheldon Richardson, when he was on the Jets, he got pulled over for going 140 miles per hour. He had drugs and, a gun in the back seat with a kid. It's like, what are you doing? I just don't get it sometimes. I really don't.
Again, they're just stupid. They're just stupid. That's all you can say, man. That is all you can say.
We have our first comment by my lovely mother. She wants to know if my dad wants to know if Mike White is good tonight. Will they continue to use him every game? I sure hope so. Honestly, I don't hate I don't hate the idea of Mike White starting the games for the rest of the season if he plays good.
They'll go with the hot hand.
They will.
If Saleh pulls him for Wilson, and Mike White's winning games, the fans will be in an uproar, and they'll have every right to be in an uproar.
No, yeah, but I think the second he fucks up, it might Zach Wilson's going back in.
Yeah, but I also think that again, this could be a blessing in disguise because then Zach can take his time. Maybe Zach shouldn't have started week 1. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know because again, he's coming from a small school. That is part of it. I mean, that's always going to be used against him.
Right.
Maybe Zach should have gotten, the Mahomes treatment, even though that was all done in the 90s, where you just sit him for a year and let him watch and learn, and he's ready to take over. But what's done is done. In my honest opinion, if Mike White's winning football games for you, you go with the hot hand. You don't take him out of it. It's like you got to respect the streak. If this, it's like if they're playing well with him and the team is backing him and the team is playing 100%, playing hard, you can't bench him.
Yeah. No, I agree. But like I said,
the media won't get it. The media won't understand it, and the fans won't understand it.
Yeah, but the second I feel like he screws up or doesn't have a good game, that's when Zach's going in.
Aaron Rodgers got COVID and then lied about being vaccinated, so that's not exactly a good look for him. The one thing I'll say about Aaron Rodgers is that he's a bit of a prima donna. I've always thought he was a bit of a prima donna. Great quarterback, will be a Hall of Famer, but he's always been a bit of a prima donna for my taste. And he doesn't realize what he did, and that is he put a lot of players in jeopardy. For example, they just played the Arizona Cardinals. Now you got to test the entire Arizona Cardinal football team to make sure they don't have COVID. And right before a game, although I don't know if Arizona's not off this week. They have a game on Sunday. I mean, you don't have to go back to week 1 to test Aaron Rodgers, the teams he played. But the fact that you lied about being vaccinated, you've put the league at risk. Let me rephrase that. You didn't put the league at risk, but you put other players at risk. And if anybody on the Arizona Cardinals tests positive for COVID, you've got a big problem on your hands. Because the Arizona Cardinals are going to sit there and say, well, why should we have to forfeit a game when Aaron Rodgers was a moron and didn't get vaccinated?
Yeah.
So from an optics standpoint, it's a terrible look. It's an absolutely terrible look. And he's not going to play Sunday. Now they have to start Jordan Love. And you don't know what you have there. You're kind of throwing Jordan Love out to the Wolves on short notice.
Well, I kind of like it that Jordan Love's finally getting a chance to play because everyone was in uproar 2 years ago, myself included, that they shouldn't have drafted Jordan Love, that they should have drafted a wide receiver, someone else to help out Aaron Rodgers, but they didn't. They went with the future successor to Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love. So now we finally get to see what 2 years under Aaron Rodgers is like and what we'll see that Jordan Love has been able to learn under him.
You can only hope. I mean, now the good news is for Jordan Love is they're going to get Devontae Adams back on Sunday.
Yes.
So that could definitely be very helpful for him. But just the optics of this looks really bad for Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron Rodgers is just – and I know he kind of does things his own way, and he's always been kind of bitchy about Jordan Love being there and, whatever reason. He claims he didn't – he wasn't mad about Jordan Love, but you and I both know he was. I mean, everybody knew he was. It was probably the worst kept secret in all of football.
No, yeah. Look, my mom commented again. My mom's a big fan tonight, saying he should be fined for that.
He should be fined for that.
He should be fined, honestly, for lying. It's one thing you just come out and blatantly, at least with, when I was listening to Michael K show the other day, and they were saying, at least, Kyrie says, hey, I'm just not going to get it. And I'm not going to play, and that's fine. You didn't lie or anything. You just flat out said it. I'm not going to get it. If I can't play, that's it. But Rodgers hit it. Rodgers hit it from everyone, like an asshole.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing you can really do about it at this point. The the Packers have no choice but to just accept it. And they're not going to – I highly doubt they're going to fine him because there's so much tension between Aaron Rodgers and that front office that a fine would probably just set him off. Even though he should be fined, I agree. I would even go as far as say he should be suspended. But at this stage, I just don't see them fining him because the tension is so runs so deep right now between the GM and Aaron Rodgers that it could really blow up in their face. 100% blow up in their face. So the other news of the week is Odell Beckham, who's basically played his way off of the Browns roster. He has currently been told to stay home. He has currently been told to – Kevin Stefanski has basically said that he is no longer a member of the team or he's not on the Browns team anymore. So which probably means his release is going to be very pending. The only thing I could say to that is this trade has been an unmitigated disaster for Cleveland. And in a weird way, it's kind of like the more things change, the more they stay the same in Cleveland. Because, listen, the Beckham trade at the time that it was made was actually good. It was good for both sides. I think the Giants had just grown really tired of his act. I think the Giants had just grown really tired of his behavior and everything, and they were looking for a clean slate, and Gettleman saw an opportunity to trade him. Now, Gettleman really hasn't done a lot well there in New York for the Giants, but that's one of the few things he has done well.
Right.
He got rid of a cancer that was causing a lot of problems on the team. Jabril Peppers was actually playing pretty well for them before he injured it. I think he tore his ACL recently, so he's out for the season. I don't remember what picks they got or who they used their picks on.
I'm looking that up now. They traded – this whole trade was involved with Beckham and Olivia Vernon in exchange for Jabril Peppers, who's actually been a bright spot on their Giant defense. Kevin's the first and third round picks in the 2019 draft, who I'm about to look in to see who they drafted.
I think that's the Dexter
They
Lawrence.
draft. Oh, is it really? Oh, God.
I think it might be Dexter Lawrence, but I'm not entirely sure.
Let's see. The Giants took, the Dexter Lawrence pick. Yep.
Dexter Lawrence is a good player for them. I don't know who they took with the third pick, though. I'm not entirely sure. Or the third rounder. But, again, this is a trade that has backfired tremendously on the Browns. Now, it's not the reason why the Browns aren't playing that great. It's because really Baker Mayfield is struggling because he's playing injured. He's playing with a torn labrum.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if Odell Beckham will ever be able to shake this moniker of just being a pain in the ass and, a total cancer on a roster and everything. Now, a team that picks him up, because he will be released and somebody will pick him up, is going to get a very good player for cheap.
Is he good? I don't.
You can't ignore what he did with the Giants.
No, that's true.
You can't ignore what he did with the Giants. He was a very electrifying receiver for the Giants. Okay? I personally think he got a bad rap for that whole boat trip. They singled him out. I thought the media totally singled him out. And the thing is they weren't doing anything wrong. They weren't doing drugs on the boat. They weren't drinking. It wasn't like they crashed the boat or were arrested for a DUI or anything like that. They were out on a boat. 5 or 6 of the players. And in that Packer game in the playoffs, the Giants had that game. The first half, they dominated the Packers. And it just all fell apart in the second half. So a lot of people immediately ran to that excuse, which I don't believe it was an excuse.
It was just bad optics. They go out the night before on a boat. They did whatever they did on a boat. Like, look, nothing was ever confirmed that they did drugs or anything like that. And I don't think they did. But it's just bad optics that, you shouldn't be going out on a boat the night before of a big playoff game. And then you have your star wide receiver, Odell Beckham Jr., dropping balls during that game. And he wasn't really that good throughout the game. So it was just bad optics. I don't think Odell is a bad player. I just think he's very overrated. Like, people love to put him in this top pedestal. I never seen it. He was just an
Well, for a
average.
while, a lot of people really loved him because of the one-hand catches he made.
Yes,
He used to make those all the time. And listen, I think he's a good receiver.
he's good. I'm not saying he's not good.
And on top of that, now he's got an injury bug on top of that, which is not good. But somebody will pick him up. I don't doubt it for a minute.
The Raiders.
I think Green Bay could pick him up. I think New England has a possibility to pick him up. Although I don't think New England will pick him up.
No, we know that Bill Belichick doesn't tolerate that shit.
But I also think that they have so many receivers right now, and Mac Jones doesn't play to Odell Beckham's strengths. Aaron Rodgers plays more to his strengths. Maybe even Pat Mahomes, if the Chiefs go down that road.
The Raiders they just lost a wide receiver.
Yeah, but if you're the Raiders, do you really want a guy like that on your team right now when you're trying to change the culture and all that stuff? I just don't know. It's like, do you really, you got to be careful when you add this guy to your roster.
Right.
Because you're going to run into situations where if he's not getting the ball all the time, is he going to throw a fit on the sideline? But right now, things are, it's just, and this all started basically because Odell Beckham's dad put out a video literally detailing Baker Mayfield not targeting him in games. It was like a detailed video. I didn't see the video, but from what I've read about it, it was like literally like a coach's corner type of video.
Yeah, I saw the video. I didn't listen to it with sound or anything, but like I watched it and it was just like him pointing out Odell and like Odell's wide open on some of them, and like I was trying to look at it from like a football like mind perspective. And like there were some throws. There are some throws in just general when you run a pass pattern or when you run a pass play, it's designed to just go to one guy no matter who's open or not. Like there was one they did a quick slant or whatever. Odell was wide open. I'm not saying he wasn't wide open on it, but Baker wasn't even looking towards his direction. He just fired it off quickly right to I think it was Jarvis or Donovan Jones or whoever it was. And I'm like, that's not the point of football. Yeah, Odell might have been open, but that's not the way the players run. So I don't know what the hell he was really asking for on that.
But I think Stefanski did a good job overall of just saying, you know what, he's not on the team anymore. Like he's not on the team. It's time to move on because if you keep him around you're just going to cause more headaches. That's not the type of ship that Kevin Stefanski wants to run in Cleveland.
No,
he doesn't want the drama coming back to the Browns where they're just not a good franchise again. He's done a really good job with that team.
I just think that Odell is a really overrated wide receiver. Not saying he's bad, but people love, like I said just a couple minutes before, they love to put him on this high pedestal that he's a top 10 wide receiver. He's not a top 10 wide receiver. He's barely a top 20 wide receiver. I wouldn't even put him in top 20. I would name you 20 better wide receivers than Odell Beckham Jr. But I just don't think he's that good. So people all bugging out. Like I saw LeBron James free Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham Jr.
LeBron, he needs to get off Twitter.
I was like, what are you talking about? This dude's not that good. Like,
shut up. LeBron James is such a
I get it. People fell in love with him doing these crazy catches, and they are crazy one-handed catches. But if you take that away from him, he's just been a regular, average, good wide receiver. That's it. He's not anything great. The reason he had 13 touchdowns with the Giants in the season was because he was the only offensive weapon that the Giants had. That's it. Like, he's not a good wide receiver. People need to get this through their thick skulls and realize that he's just an average Joe wide receiver, and that's it.
Side note about the WWE releases. Cage Side Seats, quoting I wrote, this is a very actually good part of this. That WWE dumps this very bad news after bragging about how their current record profit levels are, even greater than anticipated, sure is despicable. Going to the main roster on NXT is a death sentence, man. And I don't even like NXT 2.0. I'm not a fan.
I was watching it a little bit the other night, and I was like, ooh, this is not good. Other than Ciampa really...
They're forcing people down your throat again.
Well, that's what it was. Like, they didn't give us any time for these guys like Braun Baker, Odyssey Jones, Duke Hudson. They didn't give us any of these guys time to breathe. Like,
But the
It's like,
problem is like, for example, like Toxic Attraction. I hate Mandy Rose. I think Mandy Rose is terribly overrated. But it's like they've only been together for a few weeks, and you already give them all the gold. It doesn't make any sense.
you're
Now,
right.
how would I have done it differently? I would have Raquel Gonzalez beat Mandy Rose. And then I would have Dakota Kai beat Raquel Gonzalez. And then Dakota Kai becomes the new heavyweight champion, new NXT women's champion. She's so deserving of that. And you know what they're going to do to her, Clem? They're going to turn her face. They're going to turn her into a face. I guarantee it.
Well, I don't know about turning face just because of the fact that she already turned heel on Raquel when
doesn't matter. Mandy. And WWE thinks you guys are stupid, and they think that you're going to forget what she was. I'm telling you right now, they're going to turn her face. She's going to become a babyface in NXT.
And to go back off of what you were mentioning about Toxic Attraction being the champs already, I agree with you, but I think they just realized they fucked it up by giving it to Zoe Stark and Io Shirai.
Io Shirai should be in the world title picture every time.
There's exactly. No shouldn't be in the I think they realized they fucked it up by giving them to the title, so they were like, okay, let's give it to like a legitimate tag team like Toxic Attraction. I would have been all in on Indy and whoever her partner was for winning. I think they would have won the tag belts if Candice wasn't pregnant, but Candice being pregnant, like they had to give it to someone else. And I don't hate that Toxic Attraction has all the belts. But like you said, like you got to give it time to breathe. They just rushed everyone right into it. And I want to like a guy like Braun Baker or Odyssey Jones or Duke. I want to like these guys, but like I still don't know anything about them.
Too many new guys, and now you're going to probably make Carmelo Hayes the champion and have him beat Ciampa. It's just too much. You're forcing these guys down everybody's throat. Too many guys debuting at the same time. Nothing makes sense. Now Kyle O'Reilly's contract is supposedly up in December, so he's probably gone.
And I think he already confirmed that he's not going to sign back with NXT.
Yeah, there's a rumor already going around that they may reform Undisputed Era in AEW with him and Bobby Fish. Did I lose you, Clem? But I don't know what the hell just happened to Clem. I guess he lost his thing. But let's keep going. We're just very blindsided by Clem and I are big wrestling guys. We're blindsided by the WWE releases. And so let's just keep going right now. So the last thing I want to talk about today is this. I mean, it just gets worse and worse for the Mets. Hey, there you are.
My bad. I don't know what for some reason I hit my mouse and my mouse was on I closed out the whole thing by accident. I don't know how the hell it was over there or whatnot, but I'm back. The computer didn't turn off. I'm back in seconds at least.
All right. So before we get to how former Jets fared this week, because it was not a good week for former Jets, with the exception of two, I want to get into the latest in just what has become just an unbelievable disaster for the Mets, and then not being able to fill this role of president of baseball operations. And what's making it worse is that nobody wants to interview with them.
Yeah.
It's not even about whether you want to take the job or not now. Nobody wants to interview. It's like what people are doing now on unemployment, right? Because they're applying for jobs, they're scheduling interviews, and then they're canceling interviews, or they're just completely no-showing interviews. But as long as they report to unemployment that they had an interview with so-and-so, who's gonna check, right?
Right.
And the thing is now we're in the second level of candidates, and none of those guys want the job. It started with Theo Epstein, which, you kind of knew it was probably like a long shot he was going to take the job. And then Billy Beane turned it down, and the Brewers denied permission to speak to Stearns. Then the Brewers GM, Dan Arnold, didn't want the job. Then the Cardinals GM didn't want the job. Now I'm hearing that, or I was reading, that the Twins, they wanted to interview the Twins assistant GM. He said no. And they wanted to talk to a woman in the Yankees organization, and she said no. So the only person they've gotten permission to speak to about the job is Raquel Ferreira, who is, I think she's the executive vice president of player development for the Boston Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That, as far as I know. The crazy thing was, according to SNY, the only other candidate for the job is a guy who works for the Orioles. And that's the last team I'm going to for a freaking candidate for.
Oh.
That's the last team I'm going to. Here, I'll see if I can pull it up real quickly.
But this is bad though. Like, I know we talked about it a little bit last week, but it's like, what the hell's really going on? Like we can't even get an interview. Like, not even an interview. And like came out, like, I think it was maybe a few days ago or whatnot, that it was like an executive, like a higher up executive in MLB stated that questioned why isn't anyone going for interviews for this Mets job? They're in a premier city. They're a premier team with great young talent. Why is no one going for this job?
All right, the other person now I just see it was the Yankees assistant general manager Gene Afterman turned down the idea, turned down the job, and now the Mets reportedly have interest in former Yankees assistant GM and Angels GM Billy Epler. The other known possibilities are Red Sox executive Raquel Ferreira and Orioles exec Sig Mejdal, if I'm pronouncing it right, though the latter is considered a long shot. The latter should be considered absolutely not, because he works for the freaking Orioles, and that's a team right now that has no direction. Why would I entrust a person who works for the Baltimore Orioles with this team? There is going to be so much pressure on this, whoever takes this job. And the thing is I kind of related it to the John Idzik Jets marriage. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
The Jets wanted to hire a new general manager. They had just fired Mike Tannenbaum. But the caveat was you had to keep Rex Ryan. And no seasoned executive that wanted to be a general manager wanted anything to do with Rex Ryan. They thought he was a bad coach. His star had pretty much fallen at that point. If you're not going to let them pick the coach, they're not going to take the job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing with the Mets is that, number one, as we've said before, we don't know what Sandy Alderson's real role is with the team. There's the first red flag. And that's the first question I'm walking into that interview room, basically saying, what is Sandy's role with this team? Am I going to be undermined every chance I get by him? By the fact that his son was just promoted? That's another problem. So right now you're walking into a position where you can't even bring in your own people.
Right.
If you want somebody to be the assistant GM, you can't, because they just gave it to Alderson's son. Making matters worse is you can't even hire a manager right now, or a good manager, because that manager now inherits Jeremy Hefner. So I'm not saying Jeremy Hefner is a bad pitching coach.
Right.
The Mets cannot leave any stone unturned here. They can't sit there and say, they don't have, first of all, they don't have the credit to say it. They don't, nor should they. I mean, they are in no position to ask this of any candidate that's going for the job. They can't sit there and say, we really want you to run the organization, but Sandy's going to play a role in it too. So there's the first red flag. The second red flag is, like I said, Sandy's already making decisions without a person in charge.
Right.
They've already decided to keep Jeremy Hefner. Supposedly they were negotiating with Javi Baez on a long-term deal. That might not fit into the new front office person's vision of the team. And he promoted his son. And you know that son is probably going to be such a little fucking weasel, because every time this woman or whoever it is tries to make a decision, he's going to figure out a way to undermine her to make the decision. He's going to go run to dad and say, I don't like this. I don't like what this woman's doing here, or whoever it is. This is really bad.
Again, it's like we don't even know, but why it is. The only reason we can imagine is it's possibly Sandy's fault that we're not getting any people to interview.
Cohen should have cleaned house. Everybody goes. You fired Zach Scott this week. You fire Sandy Alderson. And you basically go to guys like Billy Beane, who I didn't want, but I understand why the Mets did, and Theo Epstein, and say, what can I do to get you to run this team? But no seasoned executive is going to want Sandy Alderson loitering around, hovering around, second-guessing the guy's decisions, getting in Cohen's ear about, well, I don't know if I like what he's doing. You don't want that. And adding to that is the fact that I think that another reason is because of Steve Cohen's Twitter. No seasoned executive, a guy with baseball experience, wants to see tweets from the owner of the team asking the fans, hey, what do you think we should do at the trade deadline? You tell me. That completely puts a lot of pressure on that guy's job.
Yeah.
And for a woman like Raquel Ferreira, it's going to put a ton of pressure on her to do the right thing, to go make the trade the fans want. When maybe she thinks to herself, this roster is good, but it needs to be tweaked, and we need to start restocking the farm system again. We traded away some really key guys over the last couple of years. We can't do that. So these are just one after another after another. And it reminds me so much of the Jets with John Idzik. John Idzik had no idea what he was walking into. He was walking into a freaking buzzsaw, and he knows it. John Idzik was walking into a situation that he had no chance to succeed. He was a director of football administration. I don't even know what that position means. It's just like I work in administration. It's a lot of paperwork. So to me, it sounds like he's a pencil pusher. But he was the only guy willing to take the job.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see from day one, he just didn't look right for the position. And then when he had that one press conference during the middle of the season where he was just babbling on about playing like a Jet, it was just bad.
Yeah, it's literally...
He was the only one willing to take Rex on. The rest is history. And quite frankly, if I'm this woman from the Red Sox, I have major reservations about taking this job at the Mets. For starters, this is a franchise that, to me, has a lot of healing to do when it comes to the world of sexual harassment and sexual misconduct. After they were embarrassed by Jared Porter and they were embarrassed by past situations with Mickey Callaway, both on Sandy's watch. Sandy feigned ignorance. He claimed he didn't know. We all know that's bullshit. But again, how can you be reassured that the Mets are going to do the right thing by this woman?
Right.
How can you be reassured if you're this woman that you're not walking into a sexist environment? Like, I would basically demand that I get to bring in my own people.
Mm-hmm.
Not my problem if you fire your son, Sandy. I said, the fact is I don't know who he is. And I'm not going to walk into a position where I'm going to be looking over my shoulder for your son to wait for him to go to you, who then you go to Cohen and complain. That's why nobody wants the job. Because they don't have the control they think they do or expecting. The Mets really fucking botched this, man. They really botched this. This is bad. This is really, really bad. And the thing is now, your second and third level tier candidates don't want the job. What does that tell you? Nobody wants to come be the president of baseball operations for the New York Mets. That alone is embarrassing. It doesn't get more embarrassing than that. That's a promotion. That's higher than general manager. and nobody wants the job.
No one wants an interview. That's really the problem. Like, we can't even get an interview. It's one thing if they do interviews and it's like, I don't want this job. I'm not a fan. They don't even want to come into the house. They don't want to do anything with this team. It's mind blowing. It really is mind blowing.
And this is going to keep dragging on because we have the GM meetings coming up. And don't forget, we're on the verge of a work stoppage.
Yeah.
Next month there's a work stoppage, and I think it's going to go through. But the Mets can't implement a plan because they don't have anybody in place yet. But again, that's the worst part. Nobody wants the job. That's the disturbing part about this whole thing. Like, Sandy might as well take the job. Sandy might as well take the job, do it for this year, and then resign after this year. And help the team find a president of baseball operations. That's the only option you have. But you know what I think is going to happen? I think he's going to promote his son. I think his son is going to be the new general manager.
Jesus.
1,000% convinced.
That's the last thing we fucking need.
He's an assistant GM. My gut is telling me he's going to be the new general manager because they can't find anybody.
I really hope not.
All right, we're about 20 minutes from kickoff. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to close the show. I still can't believe these WWE releases.
I know. It really is crazy. Like, I can imagine some of them. Like, where's the list? Okay. So officially the list is Scarlett, Frankie Monet, Ember Moon, Oni Larkin, B-Fab, Trey Baxter, Katrina Cortez, Grant Metalik, Karrion Kross, Lindsay Dorado, Keith Lee, Nia Jax, and Mia Yim.
Well, apparently from what I heard, I think it was Lindsay Dorado or Grant Metalik. They requested their release.
Yeah.
But again, think about it. All those guys were NXT. All of them. Keith Lee? You don't have anything for Keith Lee?
Let's not forget, 2 years ago, Keith Lee was white hot. You couldn't have a bigger superstar in the company than Keith Lee.
Glory? That was such a great gimmick. The guy was doing he was launching himself over the top rope on the guys.
Yeah.
His ability was off the charts. I think what's happening, though, is I think a lot of what I think is going to wind up happening? The veterans in NXT are going to go right to the main roster to kind of offset the losses.
You think?
Well, it's pretty obvious that they're building around an NXT 2.0 guys like Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, Toxic Attraction. I just don't see I don't think Kyle O'Reilly's going to go and stay in NXT much longer. I think Champ is primed to drop the belt to Carmelo Hayes.
Mm-hmm.
And forcing guys down the throat. Forcing them down the throat.
It's just I just can't believe this shit.
That is not, honestly, Clem, that is not a good workplace right now.
It's not.
Not at all.
It really is not. And people want to wonder why, AEW is technically right now the A show. Because this shit right here. You had a premium talent in Keith Lee, who everyone loved, and he was white hot. Gets injured. Cool, gets injured. Shit happens. But when he came back, he was delegated to nothing.
You know what he should have did? They should have made him part of the Hurt Business.
That's what the rumor was originally.
They should have did that. They should have moved forward with that with him, Bobby Lashley, and MVP. There you go. Hurt Business.
Another one, Ember Moon. Ember Moon is one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. She has one of the coolest finishers I've ever seen.
The worst mistake they made with Ember Moon was breaking her up and Shotzi. But I do love Shotzi as a heel.
I'm all for the Shotzi heel turn. I'm not a big Shotzi fan in general, but I'm all for the heel turn.
I like the Shotzi heel turn. I hope they really run with it. I really do. But I really like the heel turn with Shotzi. Eva Marie was a complete waste. Everybody knew it.
Yeah, no one cares about her.
She was there for a month and did absolutely nothing. She was completely worthless. She couldn't wrestle. She couldn't do anything.
I'm pretty sure people are celebrating in the streets right now the fact that her and Nia Jax both got released.
Nia Jax, I'm pretty sure, was hurting wrestlers with her, with her moves.
She should have been released years ago.
Mm-hmm. All right, we'll comment more on this next week. But before we get out of here, because the game starts in about 15 minutes, we're going to recap how former Jets did last week. And we'll start, of course. It was a rough week for the Panthers, even though they won. Okay? So we'll go with Sam Darnold first. And again, we don't take any pride in this. But this only proves to me that Joe Douglas is not as bad as people think as a general manager. All right. Sam Darnold on Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. 13 of 24 for 129 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Completion percentage of 54.2. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Average pass, 5.4 yards. Okay. For the season, Sam Darnold completing 60% of his passes for 1,814 yards. That's an average of 6.6 yards a pass. 7 passing touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 5 rushing touchdowns. Sam took a bad hit on Sunday. I don't know if you saw it, but his head hit the field pretty hard. I think he was trying to run for a touchdown. And they don't know if he's going to play. He's been limited in practice all week. He may not play on Sunday. They play the Patriots, by the way. So you're going to have more of the seeing ghosts game. But right now, what you are seeing out of Sam is very simple. He needs Christian McCaffrey.
Yep.
If he doesn't have Christian McCaffrey, then he's a marginal quarterback at best.
Which is crazy because, again, you have decent talent on this Panthers offense. It's not like there's no talent like he had now on the Jets. There was actually no talent when he was on the Jets. He actually has talent. DJ Moore is a very good wide receiver. Robbie Anderson, they have connections. They've played together. It's not like this is a new year for them. Mm-hmm. Chuba Hubbard, not an awful running back. But like I said it week 1, I said it week 2, 3, 4, whenever we talk about Sam Darnold. It's real easy to be a quarterback in the league when you have the best offensive weapon on your team in Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
It's easy as that.
So let's continue. Robbie Anderson. No catches on Sunday. None.
Stinks.
How many targets? How many targets in the game? 1. And he got freaking drilled by somebody. I think he got the wind knocked out of him. But he got hit hard. And the reason why it looked worse than it did was because he's not a big guy. He's skinny. He's got speed. But, man, watch the hit. He gets drilled, Klim. I don't even think he sees it. He just gets drilled. And it was a clean hit. It wasn't a dirty hit. It was just he just wasn't paying attention. He's got leveled. So no catches, no yards on Sunday. For the season, Robbie Anderson, 18 catches, tied for 111, 204 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And he just signed a 2-year, $29 million extension. So that's the take on Robbie. Now, I don't know if it's a case of Sam not targeting in games. Maybe Sam is getting comfortable with guys like DJ Moore. Chuba Hubbard, I think, has been pretty decent in McCaffrey's absence. So you're not really losing anything there. But overall, Robbie Anderson's having a terrible season. Flat out terrible.
So bad.
All right, next up, Jamal Adams. 10 tackles in the win over Jacksonville. By the way, Jaguars are terrible in that game.
So bad.
Taylor Dahl must have been laughing her ass off, man. She must have been laughing her ass off. Because, honestly, they looked bad. And I'm starting to feel bad for Trevor because I don't think he's being coached well by Urban Meyer. I just don't think so. And I know the Jaguars don't have a lot of talent. I get that part. But there's something off about Trevor. He should be better than this, in my opinion. I know she disagreed with that assessment, but I just think he should be better. He shouldn't be Tom Brady, but I think he should be better based off of the once-in-a-generational prospect status that he had going into the draft, going into last year at Clemson.
I,
So
I, I just think this is a piss poor managed team and offense, especially by the Jaguars, because you have talent on this Jaguars offense. You know, James Robinson is a very good running back. He's top 10 running back that in the league right now. He's very good. Marvin Jones, look, he's not a number one wide receiver, but he's been like that Jamison Crowder kind of player. He's always been like that safety blanket wherever he goes. You know, he's decent. You know, DJ Chark is not a bad wide receiver either, and Laviska Shenault is not bad either. They have the weapons there,
mhm.
but I like you just mentioned. I think Urban Meyer is not doing a good job coaching this team, and I said it to Taylor, and I'll say it now. I think Urban Meyer's done after this season.
Jamal Adams, 10 tackles, 5 solo, no sacks, no interceptions. For the season, 55 tackles, no sacks, no forced fumbles, no INTs, 2 passes defended. He does not have an INT since being traded to Seattle. In 2 years, he has not intercepted a pass. And now he doesn't have any sacks either, which probably means that defenses have know how to play him. And his coverage skills leave a lot to be desired.
Oh my God, Joe Douglas really won this trade. Gotta love it.
And the crazy part is, the first pick he used from the Jamal Adams trade,
AVT.
Elijah Vera Tucker, who's now one of the top guards in the league.
Not even top guards, one of the top rookies in the league too.
All right, Geno Smith. Geno's actually played pretty well. I've actually been I'm happy for Geno. I always thought Geno got a bad rap with the Jets. Same game. 20 of 24, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Quarterback rating of 83.7.
Not awful.
On the season, 702 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. So I think that for what it's worth, I think that Geno has actually filled in admirably for Russell Wilson. You knew they weren't going to be as explosive with Wilson out. But I think Geno has done a good job not killing them with mistakes. I know he did in the Steeler game when he had that really bad turnover at the end. But I think overall Geno's kind of held his own. And you get what you get with Geno. So in my opinion, I think Geno's actually been a pretty decent addition to the Seahawks, especially filling in for Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's nothing to hide. There's nothing to really know about Geno. I mean, we've seen the tape on him. He's never been an awful quarterback. He's not the best quarterback, but you're getting what you're getting advertised with Geno Smith. That's really it.
All right, Leonard Williams, he's starting to turn it up a bit. 6 tackles, 2 solo, 1 sack. For the season, 16 solo tackles, 5.5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble.
Not bad.
Doing good. Listen, Leonard Williams is on his way to matching his total from last year. And that's a huge win for the Giants if they do get that total from last year. But still, 5.5 sacks for him is very strong.
No, he absolutely is. Look, I wish no ill will against any of these players except for Jamal Adams. But these guys, I was always a big Robbie Anderson fan when he was on the Jets, and I really hope he did do good when he went to the Panthers. Unfortunately, he's not, but that's besides the point. Same thing with Sam Darnold. Look, I have nothing against Sam. I really hope he does good. I hope he does last a while in this league as a starting quarterback. Same thing with Leonard Williams. I loved Leonard Williams when we drafted him in 2015, but his time with the Jets just wasn't good enough, and I really hope he does do good with the Giants.
Side note on the Giants real quickly. It was amazing how they really torpedoed their own game on Monday night against the Chiefs because they should have won that game. And Joe Judge coming out and saying that it was headset issues. I think he blamed the headsets at one point, saying that they were having issues on the sideline with headsets. Man, that just feels like such a cop-out. Like Douglas is trying to hide for the fact that he's not a great coach.
Yeah.
He's not good at decision-making on the sidelines and stuff like that. I mean, the Giants killed their own game because they were taunting penalties and, defensive penalties. It was just that's all you can really say about the game. And now the Giants are having issues with COVID because Barkley's on the COVID list.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I don't think it's Kadarius Toney. There's someone else that's on the COVID list, but they're going into a big game now on Sunday against the Raiders, who are now dealing with another distraction with the Henry Ruggs thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if Gettleman gets fired, I think Judge is done. I don't think a new GM is going to take on Joe Judge unless that GM is a friend of Joe Judge. I just don't see it.
No, I agree with you because Joe Judge has done nothing to prove his worth here with the Giants.
All right, last one is Chris Herndon. And this is once again another fleecing by Joe Douglas, as he got a 4th-round pick for Chris Herndon and a 6th-round pick. Chris Herndon on Sunday, in a loss to the Cowboys, 1 catch, 7 yards. No touchdowns. For the season, 2 catches, 9 yards, and 1 touchdown. And we got a 4th-round pick for him.
Love it.
So, I mean, I don't know if this is we should be praising Joe Douglas or just be sick to our stomach with how terrible the Jets have drafted.
Little both.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to feel about this, to be honest. So, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, when you really look at it like that, it's like, geez, these guys really do suck. Other than the Robbie Anderson, we didn't draft Robbie Anderson, but Sam Darnold. I mean, all these guys, it's like shit. The Jets really do suck at drafting, and we're talking about. And now, if you really even look back further, it's talking about the guys who are even on the team, aren't guys who aren't even in the league anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible, absolutely terrible.
Side note about the Vikings: Mike Zimmer should not be the head coach of that team anymore. They are bad. And not for nothing, Harrison Smith is a very overrated safety.
Yeah, it's like he got paid.
He was getting burned all day by the Cowboys on Sunday, by Cooper Rush. And, I mean, I don't know. He just comes off as a very overrated safety, in my opinion. I'm a big Notre Dame fan. You know that. But I haven't seen anything out of Harrison Smith where I'm just, like, blown away by the guy's talent.
It's weird. Some of these guys, they get paid, and it's like they forget how to play football.
So the Vikings will take on the Ravens on Sunday, so we'll see if Herndon can maybe get 2 catches this week instead of 1. The Panthers, Robbie Anderson and Sam Darnold will face the Patriots in Carolina, although Sam Darnold, we're not sure if he's going to play. He's been limited in practice all week. And the Seahawks are off this week, so the Seahawks, they have a bye. But they come back and play the Green Bay Packers, and most likely Aaron Rodgers will be back in the lineup for that game. The Giants will be at home on Sunday taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. So this will be a weekly thing as the season progresses, and hopefully it'll make Jet fans feel better that Joe Douglas made the right moves. So, all right, Klim, before we get out of here, anything?
Yes, congratulations to the Braves on winning their World Series the other night. It was a great.
I'm really happy for Freddie Freeman. I'm
a
big Freddie Freeman fan.
Like we're Mets fans, so obviously we're obligated to hate the Braves. But like, I just couldn't see I just didn't want the Astros to win.
The Braves, the Braves seem like a team that you can't hate them.
Yeah,
I just don't feel like you can hate them, despise them the way you would another team.
Well, I like a lot of their players, and Freddie Freeman's one of my favorite players in all of baseball. So like, if I could never own a Braves jersey, but if I were to get a Braves jersey, it would be Freddie Freeman's. Like, it's just everyone about that team is just very good, and I was very, very ecstatic that they were able to win it out on, what was it, Tuesday night?
And it was Tuesday night. Look, Max Fried pitched his balls off. He pitched a really solid game. I think Dusty left. I think Dusty knows he left Luis Garcia in one batter too late, which he paid the price for. But for the Astros to come out in a Game 6 and get shut out like that, I thought was a little bit embarrassing for them. And maybe this is karma. Maybe this is karma at this point, that the Astros are always going to be so close and they're just not going to get there anymore. Or it'll be a long time before they do. I don't know. I think the Astros really did miss Lance McCullers, though, in the rotation.
No, they definitely did, but it's not like the Braves were facing their own problems because they lost Charlie Morton in their best playoff pitcher, So I just think the Astros didn't capitalize on,
I think the Braves had the horses to overcome it more than the Astros did.
Yeah.
with Ian Anderson, who almost pitched a no-hitter, who had a no-hitter going through like 6 innings. Max Fried pitched really well. In a bullpen game, Jesse Chavez pitched pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, one of their huge bullpen guys this year was AJ Minter.
Yeah.
That guy was great. You know, they got timely inning. Jorge Soler had a monster series.
So did Eddie Rosario, too.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman, Eddie Rosario, all those trades. Even a guy like Travis d'Arnaud, you know, you can't be mad at the guy. I mean, the fact is he was on the Mets. He was terrible. He went to another team. You can't blame him.
Yeah.
But, you know, good for them, man. Congratulations to Atlanta. Like, I don't hate Atlanta like I do the Phillies. I hate the Phillies. But Atlanta is just like, yeah, the Mets, I just don't see them as like the enemy. You know, it's
you know, they're not the enemy, but they will always have one guy that completely just kills the Mets every time they play them.
I mean, to be honest, I think the Marlins are a bigger pain in the ass than the Braves are to the Mets.
Like I never hated the Braves. You know, when I was growing up, it was always, you know, Chipper Jones and Andrew Jones. I like both of those guys very much. I like them very much. And now it's a guy like Freddie Freeman who's just been killing us every time we play. But I like Freddie Freeman. I like the way he plays. I like the way his whole thing about baseball. I just love it.
Anything else, or that's it?
And congratulations to Buster Posey on his retirement. I mean, what do you say? He's one of I think he'll go down as one of the all-time greatest catchers to ever play the game.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, he was a good player, but I think it was time. I don't think he wanted to be a first baseman anymore, you know, because he couldn't.
No, he didn't. He didn't. He had catcher in his heart the whole time. He didn't, but it was definitely his time, and I was very happy that I was able to watch him for all these years and play his ass off. 3 World Series, an MVP, Rookie of the Year, caught X amount of no hitters. Probably go down as one of the Giants' all-time greats. Buster Posey, all-time catcher for me.
I honestly have nothing else. We talked about what we talked about. You know, let's hope the Jets get a victory tonight. Let's hope that you know, we temper our expectations about Mike White and not go crazy if he has a bad game on tonight or whatever. But let's see what happens. All right, that's going to do it for the Moffett on the Mic show for this Thursday evening. On behalf of Klim, this is Craig. Again, follow the show on Instagram at Moffett on the Mic and on my Facebook page as well. Follow Klim and the A1 Sports Network on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Like and subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and leave us a 5-star review. Thank you to StreamYard for providing us the platform. And thanks for the prompt, by the way. So,
hey, look, I can do all these cool things now on here.
All right. Are we doing a show next week?
I'll let you know.
Okay. So right now, show in limbo for next week, but we'll let you know if we have one. So again, on behalf of Klim, I am Craig. Everybody, wherever you are, stay safe. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. And we'll be back maybe next week, but who knows? Have a great weekend, everybody.